people, Denise and Viviana. Please give them a round of applause and give a round of applause to yourselves. Thank you for being here. You are here to support. You are here to be with these amazing panelists that you're going to learn a lot. Please take notes. We will give you tips and advice, and priceless advice, I may say. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, walk with the community, walk with people, work in a group. And that's why we're here. And that is what we want to do, accomplish being together, helping each other, collaborative effort. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce them. I won't do the full intro because while we have a lot to cover, they'll be talking about themselves as they answer some questions. But for now, we're gonna start with the very well-known Kristina Arjona. She's a writer, producer, director. Give it up, give it up. And she is a fierce advocate for the LGBTQIA+ community. I said it. Also, she's working on her second feature, Randy, Mandy, and the Curse of the Plaza Theater. Give it up, people, give it up. We have exciting news about that because it involves you guys. If you guys want to participate, you can. But I'm going to tell you that later. She's going to tell you that later. Okay, so let's go with Jeremy Thao. Everybody knows Jeremy Thao also. He just got back from Los Angeles from getting the best picture for his short Walkman in the Chinatown Film Festival. Give it up. Okay, let's make noise. Let's make noise. I've seen that short twice or maybe 3 times at different festivals, and I was always at awe, impressed, and it just gave me a warm feeling and reminded me of the Latino community also. Yes, Jeremy is also he's a filmmaker, a writer, and a non-American screenwriter, right? He also owns his film production company, as does Kristina. And he's gonna be talking more about all the things he does. And of course we have Alahna LARK, people, Alahna LARK. She's mostly a producer, but she's also a writer and a director. Her latest feature documentary had a world premiere at the Atlanta Film Festival this past weekend. And she is also, I guess, a proud owner of a production company, correct? Very good, very good. Be nice to these people, huh? Be nice. Be nice to everybody. Just, these are connections you're gonna have in your project. And of course, we have all the way from Austin, Texas. He just arrived yesterday, Matthew Alaniz. Give it up for Matthew. Matthew is working on his second short, right? And the second short, he showed me it is in Seaton Spark, the pitch video they made. OMG. I am so, if we could all do that, I think we would all achieve our goals. They achieved their goals of $11,000. And they got it all. It was amazing. You need to see it. You guys will all have their contacts at the end. You need to follow them because there's just so much they have to offer. And you're a director, actor, and writer. And he was in the Atlanta Film Festival. His short was in it last year, 10-1. And if you haven't seen it, which I have twice, anyway, wonderful too. I love the fact that he talks about social impact, like many of you, but a lot of humor in it. A lot of humor. So you need to check it out. And we'll talk more with him about what he does, Matthew. We're gonna break the ice by starting off with my actor friends will know this, essence statements. Okay, let's introduce them with their essence statements. What would you say, Kristina, is your essence statement?
Hello, I'm Kristina Arjona. I would say my essence statement is I am your queer Latina big sister that will talk you through any awkward situation and make you feel grounded.
Ooh, good one. Jeremy.
Hey there, my name is Jeremy Thao, And I'd like to think of myself as your older brother who's going to help you make sure that you feel welcome and connected.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Hey guys, I'm Alahna LARK. I am your saved and sober friend who has a little bit of a potty mouth because God's still working on me.
Oh, I love that. Matthew.
Can you guys hear me? Is this on?
No.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh, perfect.
No?
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Congratulations on being sober, by the way.
Thank you.
They're right there with you. I think, let's see. Wear my heart on my sleeve, and I try to move with intent, purpose, and love.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'll share my quick one. Mine is right now, my inner child is jumping up and down, wanting to dance, excited for being amongst all of you, including the audience. And yet the producer in me is saying, chill and focus, please. Okay, let's focus. Let's go ahead and start it with, once again, you're having some fun questions first. What is your favorite latest movie or TV that you saw, and why your favorite?
Keeping in mind, okay. Hey, keeping in mind like diverse voices and inclusion. One of the things that I have seen recently is Hulu's series "How to Die Alone." That is incredibly funny and unique about a woman. This is going in and out. About a woman that works at an airport. And like the kind of people that you often don't see as the romantic lead, and getting to explore what her life looks like as a plus size Black woman in a world that people look past you in so many ways. I'm obsessed with that show, so I hope you go check it out.
I love that. Oh, wow. Okay, look, so let's get intimate. Obviously, it's getting dark, so everybody get closer. Snuggle up. Jeremy.
So I just watched the first 4 episodes of Seth Rogen's Ninja Turtles series, and I mean, we all know the Ninja Turtles are Asian American, and so the very first movie I ever attended as a child was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2, and I mean, jokes aside, they're truly special to me, and so I just watched the first 4 episodes, where each of the episodes, an individual turtle was the star, and so it was just storytelling, and it was just amazing. I truly had a great time, and I can't wait to watch the rest of it.
Awesome. Alana?
Yeah, well, recently I went to the theater 3 times to watch Ryan Coogler's Sinners. And it's not often that I go to the movies like that often to see the same film. I would usually watch it once in theaters, please go to the theaters, and then wait till it came out, to watch again. But yeah, I think the diversity and the historical significance of that film is so good. Ryan Coogler was intentional about being informed about each community that was represented in the film. He even brought on Chinese Delta experts to make sure that it was historically accurate, and it was just so informative. It was about, communities that I didn't know anything about and could learn from, while also being so entertaining throughout.
All right, let's try this one more time. No? Yes? Yes? All right, great. Yeah, I saw that movie too. Awesome movie. Yeah, go to the theaters, please. Let's see, I think A Different Man for me. I'm someone who recently has been trying to really focus on disability and disability stories and representation, and that movie is genre bending, and it was also, like I said, purposeful and intentful, and just really kind of was a different narrative than we typically see that deal with disability stories. So that was high up on my list this past year.
Sounds great. Isn't this a lovely, diverse group? I mean, this is as diverse as it gets, and I'm very proud how you guys put that together, Denise and Viviana. Speaking of diversity and inclusion, that is a topic we've talked about a lot. This is not new news, and we will continue to talk about it for a long time. I'd like to start asking, from a scale from 1 to 10, to all of you, how far do you think we came in the last 5 years? Doesn't sound hopeful, but okay. 1 to 10, you've got numbers.
I think that within the past 5 years, one thing that I've seen and glad to be a part of is it seems like difficult conversations are at times a little bit easier to start up in certain rooms and with certain combinations of people. Whereas just for me, myself, that has, I made a movie to help me start difficult conversations, right? Like, that's all I really know how to do. And so, even though there's a long way to go, it has been truly exciting to see the advances amongst so many different communities, media-wise and beyond. And so, I just hope that difficult conversations from all different types of topics can continue to be gracefully approached, and hopefully can be easier to start as we move forward as a community, as a greater community.
Thank you. Alahna?
Yeah, so I always say that I feel like diversity was prioritized for like 5 business days in 2020, and then we all forgot about it and being intentional about diversity, which is very different from just checking a box, right? And if we look at what's happening in our government, DEI is very much under attack, and I think it's strategic, the use of the acronym, instead of saying exactly what they're saying when they say they don't value DEI. It's they don't value diversity, equity, and inclusion. Say what you mean, right? And mean what you say. So the good thing is, as artists, art is activism, so we have a chance to decide that we don't agree and that we do value inclusion. So yeah, it's like we're at like a 2 right now, but we have the power to take it back to a 10. And the last thing I'll say about that is, in history, things always get worse before they get better because they wake people up. So I believe that what we're seeing right now in the world is what it takes for all of us as activists to wake up and make the change that we want to see.
Thank you. It is a difficult conversation for sure, especially in today's climate. Go ahead, Matthew.
I'll be a little bit more optimistic than you. I'll say we're at a 3. 3, going towards a 4. I think to piggyback on both you and Jeremy.
Can you hear him?
I think it turned off.
I think it turned off. Okay. I think I'll piggyback on Jeremy and Alana and just say that we have made some progress, but there's been to your point, there's been a lot of pushback on it. And there is a difference between valuing something, valuing diversity, equity, and inclusion, versus just trying to make it commercial and trying to check off a box. And I think when you truly start to value something, you will start to see authentic voices being heard and seen. And I think we're at the precipice of that. And it's unfortunate that there is so much pushback because, people, I'll speak for myself, there is fear. It's like, oh, finally, someone's wanting to listen. And then you start to hear outside of the room that these people really don't want to listen to you or see you, so it starts to make you second guess yourself. So it's also, when you say value, we have to also value ourselves and love ourselves. And for me, that's been a personal journey of mine for a very long time, is being able to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself that I love me enough so that other people can hear me and see me.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll say along those lines too, because I feel like of the last 5 years, it's been an ebb and flow, and that kind of what the other panelists have already touched on, that like it is becoming more active rebellion to be yourself, and so I do see more of a drive, especially in indie filmmaking, that like our voices need to be heard. So I'm lucky. Currently, like I work as an intimacy coordinator and a mental health coordinator on larger projects, so I'm kind of in the bigger project world as well as directing my own indie projects. And so it's exciting to see some of the things shifting in the larger film sets of like who is show running, what is the representation there, and how does that affect the entire ecosystem. But the biggest changes I end up seeing are in indie filmmakers that are like, I'm making my stories, like we're talking about with Randy Mandy, like I'm making a fun Latina queer vampire movie that is so fun, and it being Latina is so built into the story that like even when we meet with big producers that want, like funders, that maybe want to change it, or they're like, oh, could we do this white actress instead? And we're like, it would cost a lot of money to rewrite all of these Latina elements and like how it's built in the story. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right. You know, so even if they're not on board to start with, like just make yourself undeniable. And I see that a lot with indie filmmakers. So, go us.
Yes, yes. Oh, come on, let's make noise. Come on, guys. Absolutely. So what are the two things you would say you are doing to make opportunity available for the underrepresented community? Two things that you can mention that you're doing actively.
So I'm very proud to share that I've been invited by the Atlanta Film Society and Linda Burns to help spearhead a new community that not only shines a light on Georgia-based Asian American creatives, but to also, I can see us kind of becoming a place of the intersection of creativity, community, and mental health within the Asian American community and beyond. And so we actually just had our very first official event right before this panel.
It was great.
That I was so honored to moderate. And so we've got that going on. And then I'm also the very proud owner of a production company called East Atlanta Panda. And we are just a full service production company. And I'm very proud to be able to create and provide jobs and opportunities for just for all corners of our little indie film community here.
Don't forget Golden Pages.
Yeah, and it's called the Golden Page. I guess I forgot to say the name of it. It's called the Golden Pages, and so yeah, our socials and our site are up, and I'd love to talk to you more about it.
Alana or Matthew?
Yeah, I can go. So I have a streaming platform called Signify TV. I'm the executive director and programming director. And we showcase work on our platform from marginalized communities. What I found being a Black female indie filmmaker was that you have these lovely film festival selections and you show your film as much as you can, and then the heat kind of dies down, and then your project is left to die on a Vimeo link. And I just didn't appreciate that, so I knew that there were probably other marginalized filmmakers who needed a platform that would lift them up. So yeah, we're a nonprofit. We're all about giving a platform to people who deserve a voice. They're telling their stories, and some of the projects, maybe they didn't have the means to have like a whole lighting department or, you know, more than just a couple cameras and a light kit and an audio guy, you know what I mean? But their stories are authentic and they're real and they deserve a platform. And it's just a way to cut out the middleman of having to have someone else greenlight your work, whether it's a studio or a funder. It's like, how do we greenlight our own work and say, this is good enough, and find our audiences who value our stories the way that they are. So that's one way, and then I think similar to Jeremy, my production company, LARK Media, we do a lot of work that highlights civil rights and activism that's similar to the civil rights movement, but what it looks like today. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Outside of film, I do a lot of advocacy for people with disabilities. For
Is the mic on?
Mike, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Or I can hear.
Third time's a charm.
Hey.
My arms are too short to box with God, so that's what I got. So outside of film, I do a lot of advocacy for people with disabilities in terms of media representation, and also I speak for medical students, 2 medical students, and also doctors about my lived experience growing up in a hospital. And I guess for film, I think for me, it all starts at home, and I can't take full responsibility for this because it has to do with my producers as well. But on my last short, I think my DP, my first AC, my production sound, my set designer, production designer, were all women of color.
Yes.
So that was a concerted effort to kind of get as much diversity as we could to let other people's voices be heard, and especially part of the creative team, you know, to be able to make decisions
Thank you. Kristina?
Yeah, for me, similarly, my production company, Jump Cut Collective, have a big emphasis on any kind of representation within BIPOC, queer, women, disabilities, anything but behind the screen and in front of the screen. That's what we're gonna tell. We're gonna tell unique stories in that way. My last two projects, we had about a 95% of cast or crew in particular, but also all the cast, but like crew that were BIPOC and queer and or women. So I'm really driven to create that kind of supportive ecosystem. And then also my number two is, like we touched on a little bit with Randy Mandy, my upcoming next feature. This is my second time directing a feature, and there was so much that I had to learn on my own. I didn't have a blueprint, so we are making a documentary about our experience, about what it's like meeting with funders, about understanding what the Georgia tax incentives look like, and like how to be competitive in this market. As well as like the fun of the pre-production, or the experience of pre-production that nobody teaches you in film school, and then production, post-production, and then the distribution world. Nobody teaches us about that. So we're offering that. We're going to be connecting with some different universities, so we can hopefully teach that in universities, and then also check out our YouTube channel. This is like really dramatic. So, and along with that too, we're working with Arte GA and Film Impact Georgia to offer a paid mentorship through.
This is where you guys come in. Listen, pay attention. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're doing one-on-one mentorships with me as the director, with our writer, with our director of photography, for our production designer. And the goal is to bring up underrepresented voices and give you paid mentorships, because it's so inaccessible for a lot of people to do unpaid internships or mentorships. And so we're really, really grateful for our nonprofit sponsors that are allowing us to be able to offer this and connect with our community. So that is on Film Impact Georgia's website right now if you want to check it out and tell us. Like, we're also building it for our community in the way of like, we want to hear what you want, and so we are doing it on a rolling basis right now to see like if there are different places we can plug you in throughout the production, but we want to make sure that we are assisting the needs and the interests of our community.
That is simply amazing. This is an opportunity that everybody should take. And don't forget, we have friends and family calling us going, how can I get in? How can I get in the business? This is it, people. You can go and apply. It's open to everybody, correct? And it is a paid internship where you get to work in a real project. The other thing I wanted to ask is, where can people see that documentary that I think will be extremely informative for all of us of how you produce this feature film?
Well, we are still actively shooting it, but if you follow us on Randy Mandy Movie on Instagram, you will see the path that we're doing, and we're going to start putting out the YouTube videos very soon too, but you can join this path and learn the skills that we've been learning throughout the process as well.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so Matthew is an architect. So he studied for 6 years, and one day he said that's enough, so he got into something easier. Filmmaking, yeah. Anyway, so and he's doing great, thriving. Tell us about your challenges, and the same question goes to everybody. What challenges do you confront in doing your projects, and how do you use your background as an architect to overcome them?
Oh wow, that's a big question. You guys hear me? Is this working? Right? Yes.
No.
Hello.
Okay, that's it. He gets my mic.
It's my
You can share. Okay.
It's working.
Maybe tilt
Do you want to use?
I could just shoot this. Just trying to get sync on. It's all about me. Let's see. Yeah, that's a tough. I think with architecture, like that's talk about a collaborative medium, right? I mean, you're working with contractors, you're working with your interior design department, you're working with the client. So it's always about collaboration. I think that's also the same thing with film, but it's also, I think when I have a conversation about that when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, that can be a problem when there's time constraints with a short crew. I worked for a very small firm in Houston, Texas, and we had ambitious projects, and that can be taxing on you, and I think that kind of followed me into the filmmaking world, where I think I was telling Jeremy, my last short was like 25 pages, and we got like 4.5, 5 pages a day, and that was exhausting, 12-hour days, and so it's just, it's the same kind of thing. It's always, you're never gonna have enough time, and you just gotta always find the right people to work with you, and that can take, that can take a long time to try and find. This is about community, right? And sometimes you gotta be a part of different communities and work within different communities, kind of find people you're gonna gravitate towards with and work well with. Yeah, those are just some of the recent challenges, I guess, that I've kind of experienced.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning that, yes, collaboration. It's not just, okay, this is the Asian American community with the African American group and, Latinos, etc. How about collaborating among each other, right? All of those groups coming together and saying, hey, I can knock on their door and maybe we can help each other out. So that's perfect. Alana, Kristina, Jeremy, who would like to go next?
Yeah, some challenges I think was the transition between being just an artist to realizing like I'm a businesswoman. Art came very easily for me. I feel I've always been an artist, but this is also about making a living for ourselves, and so, the ebbs and flows of when business is good versus when business is bad, and how to make that cash flow last you through so that you're not like applying for a corporate job every other year. That's been the most challenging for me personally. And I think what I realized is I have to feed the pipeline and market myself as intentionally as I market my films. So I think that's how I mainly overcome that challenge.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I've always had this dream of like becoming a filmmaker and having that be my livelihood and all of that good stuff. But as I continue to grow as a filmmaker, I've come to realize that it's only been a vehicle for me to continue finding more things about myself, my community. I think one thing that is not talked about enough right now is the state of our industry and in terms of making a livelihood. I think that to a certain degree, we need to start rethinking about, is this a career, right? And so to be honest, I think this is the time where we have to really look at ourselves in the mirror, and you have to accept what you're good at. And you need to invest in yourself. This is the perfect time. And so I love filmmaking. It has given me passion and direction. And what's wild about it is as I continue to grow as a filmmaker, I come to realize that community building and mental health advocacy, I'm just as passionate. And so now I get to start combining different things within myself to be able to help start conversations with groups or peoples that I never would have even known about or thought about to chat with. And so this is actually the first time I'll share this publicly, but I was just accepted into the MFA screenwriting program at the University of Georgia. Thank you so much. And to be honest with you, like when 2025 started, that was not on my radar at all. But we have to evolve alongside our industry if we want to keep playing this game. And so I'm going to do whatever I need to do to stay. And if I need to take a step back for a couple of years to get my master's degree, I will do it. But I will keep one foot in, and I'm still gonna fight the fight, But we have to invest in ourselves in order to better the community. And so even though times are tough, please still have hope, still have excitement. We need you in the fight, right? So invest in yourself, love yourself, learn how you can contribute.
Thank you.
And I would say to that too, of the biggest challenge for me is getting other people to invest in me in the same way I'm investing in myself. right? And I think that's something that Georgia in particular struggles with within the film industry, right? We talk about like people coming in from LA or New York, and it's not, you don't always see above the line in these ways coming from Georgia. And there's not a trust that there should be for our creatives. And so part of what we did is, like, my creative partner Leanna Adams and I have been wanting to make this movie Randy Mandy for almost 5 years now. But what we did was make a different feature first called Christmas with Jerks. It is.
That was too funny.
It is available on Amazon Prime. But what we did, because nobody believed in us in that way that we could make a feature, that we made something we could afford to make and do it really well and make it like a raunchy Christmas comedy, right? That we did with basically one location, mainly 2 actors, and like made it really strong, made it, shot it, got it distributed in a year. And that has changed how people view us now that we're doing our second feature. Now that we need real money for vampire gags in the plaza, you know, so it's still a genre film in a like simple or, you know, mostly one location. But now we've shown that we can do these things. And also making a documentary about what we're doing makes everything incredibly transparent, which has been great for me. In that, and you know, we've actually kind of had to do this opposite, right? Like normally you hear about a feature when it comes out, but we have we were honored to win a Page to Stage with the Atlanta Film Society, so we got to do a fully staged reading at the Plaza Theater that we kind of turned into like a Rocky Horror night, right? And like filling that up and including that in our documentary and getting a wide range of audience to do little clips saying like, I love this movie and I can't wait to see it and I'm so supportive of this team. That we can use in every meeting we go into. And then when we're getting these big bites, then they're like, well, why should Kristina direct it? Like, shouldn't we bring in like a big name, whatever? You know, even though I've co-written it and it's like my blood, sweat, and tears. But like, part of what I can say too is like, oh, here's what we're doing for this community, and like, here's what my work and my face as part of this is already ingrained. And so it is like embarrassing. Like, do you want to be the one that removes the queer Latina female director from this project? Like, whoa. So it's like putting things out in the light actually has been really helpful in like getting people to believe in us in the way that like we as a community deserve. And also, again, with this documentary, what we're hoping is to like really highlight so many department heads in Georgia and just normalize that we have this quality here. It's like you don't believe it until you see it. And we just want to help continue to pull back the veil and really show all the incredible people that are working here.
That's amazing. Give it up for Kristina. These are the people that walk the talk right here. I mean, we have this, we know that the industry, not only here, but LA, everywhere is very slow now, but you would never guess from indie filmmakers that that's happening because they are at work. My group, Actors Army, shameless promotion. But anyway, my group, that's what we do. We support each other. We've been producing shorts for a while. We just finished our 4th short. We're not sitting there going, let's see what comes to us. We go out and look for it. Where do we get the money? Who knows? We just say, let's do it. It'll come. So that's what they are all doing, and that's what's so impressive. And you guys need to be connected with them. You need to follow them. You need to ask them questions because they look like so willing and they're so selflessly giving of their wisdom and all the hard work that it entails to be an independent filmmaker. So let me ask you, what are the 3 quick practical advice that you would do to get underrepresented talent in your project, whether it's in front of the camera or behind? What's practical advice you would give?
Just for me personally, the first one is more of a mindset kind of a thing. You know, I've recently kind of really started rethinking about like myself as a minority and kind of learning more and leaning into the fact that there's a global majority of people, right? And like realizing that I'm not alone, even though creating something out of nothing, I'm sure everyone here has felt there is a type of loneliness that accompanies creativity at times. But we have to realize that festivals, screenings, that's the opposite end of that lonely part. That's the community building. If you have not realized that this is the community building happening in real time, like in this room right now. And so, shedding that minority feeling within myself and encouraging the young filmmakers who I speak to on a normal basis to just really believe in yourself, you know, and to encourage them to see themselves in a different light. Secondly, I think that you should lean into what makes you different and what makes you unique, right? I have a lot to contribute to this world, but I need to be myself to be able to do it accurately and honorably and all of that stuff. Also, too, you know, I've been filmmaking for about 6 or 7 years now. I could not imagine what it'd be like to start off a filmmaking career like right now. And so I just highly encourage other people as well that helping other people is going to ultimately just help you. And there can be this sense of competition amongst us at times where I assure you it's really not like that. So meet other people, ask how you can help them before you ask how they can help you. And I assure you the conversations will be a lot smoother and easygoing if you kind of just change that mindset as you meet new people.
Thank you, Jeremy. Kristina?
Yeah, I love them. You're so smart. And along the practical side of that too, support Latinas in media. Like follow them, see what they're doing, right? Even if you're not a Latina, support that. That's maybe a different background than what you have. Learn about the resources that you have. So come to Atlanta Film Society events. They do it every month. Follow it on Instagram. Arte GA is here. Like, support these local organizations that you might not be representative of, but you're gonna learn exciting perspectives from any of those, and that's the community that you can be uplifting and getting connected with, going to the locals blocks, like seeing filmmakers that are inspiring you, and connecting with them. That we're here, we're all here, so like, make the effort.
Thank you. Alana, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question, Daisy. I think that, you know, we have to look at where we are in the context of the history of this nation. So, you know, America was built on inequity. And as a result, we all have inherent biases, you know, biases that we're unaware of. They're in our blind spots. So always start with education. A book I like to recommend is Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. And she really breaks down the fabric of why we are the way that we are as a country. While you're educating yourself, hire people of color, hire people from marginalized backgrounds, people with disabilities, you know, hire them above the line, right? And then they will make sure that your crew is also reflective of how diverse this nation is. They will also make sure that the stories you're telling are reflective as well. We are not interested in checking a box. You know, representation has to be intentional. So allow the characters in your stories to be based on real people who exist, not caricatures or stereotypes of people that you think might exist, maybe, but you don't know about them. Yeah, that's how I think we should definitely avoid no-nos in terms of inclusion, because that's not real inclusion, that's performative.
Educating ourselves. Yeah, that is absolutely true. Thank you. Matthew.
Yeah, I'll follow those two things. I don't really have, I think, much more to add to that. I think really it comes from intent. Saying you want to be inclusive and diverse is one thing, being about it and making moves in the physical world is another thing. you know, when I first started my journey into myself about who I am as a disabled person, and really kind of, you know, I was raised mainstream, so I went to quote unquote normal school, went to university twice, and so at a certain point in my life, I had to really kind of adopt my disability. And one of the things I did, I went to the biggest disabled film festival in the world, which is called Superfest out in San Francisco. And instead of just sitting in the audience in awe of all these amazing stories, I went up to the director of the festival and said, hey, this has had an impact on me, and I came from Austin, and this is unbelievable, and it's so great that you put up this thing. And then cut to 8 years later, I'm now one of their longest running curators, film curators. And that's just to say that I've gotten opportunities from them because I spoke up and I wanted to be a part of that community, not just say I want to be part of that community. And then because of those opportunities, I'm able now to call myself a filmmaker and make movies with a community, and I'm able to hire people with disabilities or you know, request people with disabilities. I'm able to have a black female DP, an Asian American first AC, because I went with intent, you know, and it starts with yourself and really saying, okay, how, if I am going to be this filmmaker, if I am going to be this artist who wants to truly make this difference, then you have to go out there and do it and meet people and engage with them in a purposeful manner.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew. I just want, go ahead, let's give him a round of applause. Absolutely.
Just along those lines too of when it's hard, lean in. Because I think too, it's easy, like you're saying, like, oh, inclusion and all that, like the 5 minutes that everyone was really into it. Like, it can be more difficult. And you can also feel like, oh, well, I know how to write this character that's different than me, or like whatever. If you're getting feedback from those communities that you're representing and it feels icky, like, that's okay. Like, lean into that, shake it off, and keep leaning in. Like, don't be scared of being uncomfortable or saying something wrong if you're trying to grow. I think people get nervous and then like only stay with what they feel comfortable with or only what their background is, if you are in a marginalized group. So please continue to expand and learn and not be embarrassed to not know something.
Okay, so I'm gonna be the devil's advocate and say I have colleagues and friends that are from mainstream, Caucasian, and they are like feeling excluded themselves. They're like, okay, what about us? I feel like you guys are talking about inclusion, higher diversity. What about us? They feel excluded. What would you say to that? And I see Alana's face with a big smile. She has to say something. Go for it.
I was gonna say, we don't care. But I mean, my business partner is a white woman. You know, it's not like we avoid white people. My community is diverse, so we're gonna find the best person for the job. And, you know, that doesn't exclude you, but it just should include other people as well. So, you know, we're not intentionally going out of our way to say like, no white men allowed or something like that. You know, it's just, your team should be reflective of what the world looks like. And, you know, if you're a part of the world and you're good at your job, let's work.
And I'm glad you mentioned do not compromise quality. You know, for just checking in the box, do not compromise quality. So yes, who is the best person for the job? It's just about giving opportunities to those who don't actually get the opportunity to be even in the room or to get a chance to audition or to interview for the job.
Yeah.
Anybody?
One more
Yes.
thing is like that feeling of being excluded should incite empathy in you, because that's been our lived experience since we started this. So if you feel it, you know, times that by about 70-80% and be like, okay, this does feel bad, and then you go out of your way and be inclusive.
And I will say too, like, we need white men in this on our side. So like any white men that are here today, thank you for coming out and like listening and wanting to learn. It is so hard for people not willing to embrace inclusion that are in, you know, patriarchal white like power positions if they don't hear someone else similar to them agree that we should give these people, anyone else who's different that is qualified, a chance. And there's also been like so much white male gaze cinema. There's so many new stories that you maybe haven't heard yet. Like you supporting new voices and different voices is just expanding the kind of stories you get to experience, and like what a wonderful thing to build together. We need each other. Like I have made like a lot of feminist films, and then I made one. I was like, oh, I want to make a feminist film about boys. Like what's going on with little boys. And so I made this film Gadito about a little Latino boy that wants to be a cat for a day, and his dad that goes along with him, and what's that like. And it was so impressive to see so many men and boys being like, wow, I've never realized that I didn't get to explore things in this way because I was embarrassed or I was closed off. And it actually helped more my feminist agenda by getting to explore like what are some of the roots of why we don't feel like we can explore these other things, or why is femininity considered bad or lesser? Like how do we envision these other things that can be beautiful and so wonderfully embraced? So the more we expand and hear different stories, the more it benefits all of us to learn more parts of ourselves and not to be ashamed of all the different parts of ourselves. So please lean in, and please, if you are someone of privilege, talk to other people around you and say how great these panels are, and go support these different organizations. Like we need this full community to support us.
Absolutely, thank you. Give it up for Kristina. Matthew, did you want to add something?
Let's see, what do I say to white people who feel excluded? Tough no. A couple of my friends are white people. I'm glad y'all got that joke. But in all seriousness, though, two of my producers on my last short were white men, and I don't know. And just for this specific experience, I don't really know if it's like exclusion or if it's just about participating in someone else's voice. Right? Because my last thing was a disability story. It was it centered around my ethnicity as well, and they were willing to be a part of that voice. So I don't know if it's so much like exclusion. It's just like let's help someone else. Let's raise someone else's voice up. And not that we're trying to and he was also my co-star, and we made it about a kind of a racial relationship a little bit in a weird way. So it's partnership. I don't really see it as exclusion. I think you just got to be willing to hear other people's voice and let other people be seen.
Thank you, Matthew. Give it up for Matthew. In a dream world, I'd like to imagine that we have the CEO of NBC, ABC here in the audience. And to them, what would you guys say? What are they missing out? Seriously, this is a business, we all want to make money, right? Yes, we are creatives, this is our passion, but bottom line is, without money, we can't keep producing, so we want to make money. So what are they missing out, maybe financially speaking, by not having a more equitable representation in their project? Financially, maybe?
Yeah, I can start specifically about Latinos, and that there's so much great statistics coming out now about the amount of Latina audiences wanting to go to films, and that you're leaving money on the table by not engaging these audiences. So, and that's been a lot of our pitch meetings, is like, look at this, like look at all these things, so if you can hit people at the bottom line of people are tired of the same regurgitated stories, and learning something new, taking a risk on something that is different or unique is usually what people are craving. And so there's so many examples of that in media, like when this happens, you get much more people interested, but there's a fear of or things are, anything that is done by someone with a marginalized voice, it's often shown in a different lens and how the news coverage is of it, or they made this much money, but it's not that much, and so we have to adjust how we treat success, but from marginalized groups, and treat it equally. And then continue to believe in this unique storytelling and these audiences that are craving for something original.
Excellent point. Go ahead, Alana.
Yeah, so I'm gonna shout out Ryan Coogler again. He's actually the reason why I became a filmmaker. I remember seeing his first film, his first feature, Fruitvale Station, when I was in college and switching majors. So his films have grossed $2 billion. He made the only Marvel film to get nominated for an Oscar and win Best Picture, right? Is that right?
No.
He got
They
nominated,
got nominated.
yes,
And Best
for
Actress.
Best Picture. So yeah, the numbers don't lie. People want to see themselves. So if you diversify your content, you're reaching larger audiences. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Absolutely. So that message is going to our imaginary NBC CEO that's in the audience. Okay, who's next? Jeremy.
And you know, we still have a problem at times too, even after we get the green light, right? Like an example that pops in my head immediately is Kim's Convenience, the Asian Canadian TV show.
Yeah.
When Kim's Convenience was ultimately canceled or when it ended, the writing room was like all white people. And like it started off in a very genuine and authentic way. But as the season continued, more of the Asian folks were 86 out of the equation. And so, you know, we have an Asian show about Asian culture written by 8 white guys. And so it's like the green light does not always mean that it's getting that much better, right? It can still be performative to a degree, the green light. And so I just think that that's why it's so important that the decision makers, the people who sign checks and things, like that is where representation is truly important.
I love what he just said, absolutely. The decision makers, yes, but also, if you guys realize the writers are writing it in. So when I first wrote my short, as the writer, I was like, okay, what do I want this Latina to be in this short? Okay, so she's gonna be the owner of the mansion. Okay, sounds good to me. What about this African American actor that we have? He's gonna be the doctor. So I started choosing like the roles that we normally do not get. And I realized the power of, not Daisy, but the power of a writer. That's what you guys can write in. Anybody else wanted to add to that? Matthew?
I'll add something. 26% of Americans identify as being disabled. And I guarantee most of you in here have a conceptualized idea about what a person with a disability is. And you've gotten that from movies, TVs, commercials, and I guarantee you most of those things are not true. So it's, a lot of what we know about people and culture comes from our entertainment, comes from pop culture. And for people with disabilities, that's really unfortunate because how we live is very different from how we're portrayed. And so I think, I just saw The Accountant too, and I forced my girlfriend to watch the first Accountant. And she wound up loving both of them. We went to the movies to see the second one. And that is, that movie wouldn't have been made, 30 years ago. Something that deals with, that's a fun genre movie that also deals with people who are neurodivergent. And it was extremely entertaining. And I think we're missing out on a huge population of people when we exclude them. And also we're not, because to your point, cinema has the power to educate. And it's something that people with disabilities have been behind in for a very long time. And hopefully that'll start to change as more authentic voices are being heard.
Thank you. I would like to find out what time it is, please. 2:37. Okay, because I want to start Q&A, and before we leave, after Q&A, I want you guys to give it whatever you'd like to say, what you're asking them to do for you, what's next for you in your projects. So one last thought after our Q&A, is that okay? Trust me, I would stay here all day. This is so interesting. I would talk to each one of them individually. This is just so informative. but we have a time constraint. Anyway, let's go ahead and start with Q&A. I can't see anything because of the lights, but I know Denise and Viviana were gonna help with the microphones, whoever raises their hands first, way in the back. Okay, so any questions? Because if you don't trust me, we'll come up with things here.
You may yell.
Yes, go for it.
Can you discuss finding or targeting your audiences as well? So after you made the film and just putting it out to the right audience.
Who wants to?
Yeah, I would say finding your audience should start with the inception of the idea. So often as filmmakers, we like make the film and then we try to distribute and think of who to show it to. But have your distribution and your audience in mind as you're creating it, so that'll help you target better your project for that audience.
Anybody else want to add? Or?
I have funded one short film, and we used Seed and Spark. And if you're an indie filmmaker who is interested in crowdfunding, I highly encourage you to check out Seed and Spark. They exist for our little community, for indie filmmakers and beyond, but we get a lot of love on there. But I had to address this question, like you said, with the inception, because it's like, I'm going after them for the money, to be straight up honest with you. And so it's like, you really had to think about what corners of this world you were trying to get your movie into. That helped me find the money, that helped me build the crew, it helped me along my film festival circuit. The audience should absolutely not be the last thing you think about. It's actually arguably the first.
I also like to find the audiences that maybe you don't expect are your audiences, and like reaching out earlier on. Again, I have a lot of like Latino focused things, but I love doing supernatural films and telling a story, telling something important, but using ghosts or vampires or different ways to explore it. So like I have a short film, Mi Casa, that you should check out on HBO, or on Max, I guess. But about like two Latina ghost sisters who are trapped in a home, and a guy moves in and is talking to them through a Ouija board. Like, it talks a lot about, like, you don't see a lot of Latina ghosts, and especially not in a comedy, and like feeling invisible or forgotten or stuck and not seen. Different ways to explore that. So like kind of leaning into more of a horror audience that maybe like wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards a Latina film, but like finding different ways to meet different audiences. Like, you know who your core audience might be, but then how can you expand that and bring more people in, and have people realize like, oh, I also can connect with this character, and I didn't necessarily think that originally. So I think be very creative and try and bring in a lot of different people to watch your film and see what they connect with or what they don't, and that can really help you lean into different audiences to reach out to.
Bottom line, think outside the box. We're all falling too much into the Hollywood formula, that everything's starting to look and feel the same. And that's why there's so many foreign films in streaming services that are attractive to us, because we're seeing something different. Okay, so think outside the box. Anybody, Matthew, did you want to add something to that, or are we good?
Everything they said.
That's good addition. Question. Another question, because I can't see, oh, I see a hand here, go ahead.
This question's for Matthew. What advice do you have for other filmmakers with disabilities? What has worked for you in navigating the ableism in the industry?
Oh.
It's loaded, but you got something.
Part of my other essence is that I tend to be sometimes the loudest person in the room, and I have to make my voice be heard. Thankfully, I had a mother who taught me that at a very young age, to never back down, and to always try and be seen, and to make your point across. It's surrounding yourself with the right people is the really only thing I can recommend. Hadn't I been a part of that film festival organization that I told you about, I don't know if I'd be sitting up on this stage right now. Having their confidence in me having them provide me with other jobs outside of that were film related, where I also met other people, has also helped me tremendously. There's, you know, I met somebody at a party one time that was in the film industry as well, and they were talking about the difficulties, and they were able-bodied, and they were talking about the difficulties of working with people with disabilities, and you know, some things I clearly agree with, and some things I clearly don't. But I think there's this kind of stigma about, you know, we all fear the unknown, and it goes back to that point of we conceptualize disability through entertainment, most of us, and so I think people tend to be afraid to work with disabilities because they just don't know, and some of that falls on the person with disabilities to just be their own advocate, and that's, for me personally, I've had to be my own advocate and let my voice be heard, but also be careful who I'm letting hear that voice, or I actually be careful who my team is going to be, and it goes back to the white people question, right? About, you know, having 2 white male producers on my side, but they were also willing to really hear my voice and to let my vision come about without interference, and that just took a lot of trust. So, you know, this whole panel is about community, and it really just comes down to like putting yourself out there and then filtering out all the noise, and just getting a group of people who are going to be behind you, and willing to be a part of your voice.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes, please, Kristina.
I just want to add to that too, of like, I work as a mental health coordinator, and like part of what we do is to not put all of the burden on our creatives that have disabilities or need other support, and normalizing that within the crew space, because you shouldn't have to carry that by yourself. And I just was on a panel with Jenna Cannell recently, and she has a project coming out with her brother who's autistic, and what was it like to have someone like a mental health support on set that could just normalize for you, like, okay, this is a space that we're gonna have this, like, you know, quiet zone or different, like, headphones or different things that can be normalized on a set so easily. And so much care can be made that should not be only on the person with disabilities to have to create that. We all need to be making these spaces and just normalizing it. But also, mental health coordinators are a great resource if anyone is interested in learning about that. But that should not be theirs to carry.
I had mentioned to Kristina, I said, it feels like that's a luxury to have, you know, a mental health coordinator, a much needed person, but a luxury. But she also mentioned that you have a scale for payments, right?
Yeah, I work with the Association of Mental Health Coordinators. If you want to look us up at mentalhealthcoordinators.org. We do work on sliding scales, like any short film, any student film. If you have a question, please reach out to me. You'll find me on, we'll do all my stuff, but it's Kristina.Arjona. We want to work with creatives on every level. It should never be an excuse about funding to treat people with respect and dignity. So in the same way with intimacy coordinating, if you're ever doing any kind of intimacy or things that might be difficult for your team, you should take the effort. It's not an excuse to not have the money. You should treat people kindly, no matter what.
I agree. Not just because they're filmmakers. No, we treat everybody kindly. Totally agree. Regarding their social media and you following, because that's where we're going to put a lot of the links. So please be sure to follow Alahna Media, Latinas in Media Atlanta, Art GA, and we have the honor to have Laura Marversian here. She's the founder, and she's the one that helps and provides funds for creatives. So she's an amazing human, and she's here with us. Anyway, we're just follow everybody because we are all collaborating. We're going to include all the links possible to help you, so you can go to everything they were talking about, including the application for those paid internships, okay? Who has another question, please? Okay, I see a question way in the back. Go ahead. I can't see you well, but you have a mask, I think, so that's you.
Hello, hi. I wanted to know, so I often find in diverse spaces, quote unquote diverse spaces, there's kind of an insular nature. Like there'll be like Latino spaces, or Latino spaces, or like Asian spaces, Black spaces. Do you guys have any thoughts on how we can bring more real, true diversity into these spaces, rather than having this like insular space, as well as like more intersectionality to the spaces as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we're seeing a great effort being done literally right now. And like, you know, your question reminds me of my mental health journey in terms of self-confidence, self-love, self-image. Those are things that I am going to have to work on until the day I leave this planet, right? But what I have really come to learn is like, I cannot fully love and support other people until I learn to love myself better. And so the way that I think that I want to answer that question is these more specific groups, like you mentioned, like the Asian groups and the Latino groups and the Black groups, I think that to a degree, and I could be very wrong, just coming off the top of my head, but I still think that there's still genuine community building that needs to happen in those more specific groups so that we can unite and grow stronger together to better find how we fit into the greater equation, the greater puzzle that involves all of us. And so that's just genuine, that's just how I
We have time for one more question before we wrap it up, and I want to hear what they have going on and what they are going to ask from you. So, yes, go ahead.
My question is for Alana. I just wanted to ask, how do you like tie in art while you're, you know, producing films that are about documentaries of actual like civil rights histories, and especially when, you know, your producers are also, like Matthew said, like white males?
That's a great question. That's my sister Aisha. So when I'm working on civil rights projects and, you know, the executive producers are white men, or even with the Games in Black and White, my documentary that just premiered at Atlanta Film Festival on Saturday, my executive producers were white men, and also one of them, Bob Judson, has been my longtime mentor, so we have a great rapport. What I found is that we have different values in terms of what a story needs. So, you know, we're talking about the 96 Atlanta Olympics. For me, a big red flag would have been to not talk about the displacement of Black and brown people in order to make the games happen in our city. There was really no desire for them to talk about that, right? So me just saying, hey, we need to talk about this, hey, we need to talk about this, didn't work. I ended up writing a 5-page report and presenting it to them to express like why it was important to talk about and what it would say to our audience if we decided to omit that. Granted, it was still almost like a footnote in the film, but like that's what happens when you have inclusion on your above the line team. Like you will have representation in your story, and you will have people who watch your blind spot to make sure that you have more credibility in the story that's being told and how it's being told, to say like, no, these people who were underprivileged, who were pushed out of their homes do matter, and they deserve to be regarded with respect.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we go to you guys, asking the audience what you'd like from them and what's next for you, I want to just summarize a little bit by saying that the bottom line here is we're talking about collaboration. We are not trying to exclude anybody, we're trying to collaborate. We're asking everybody to please give the underrepresented an opportunity, just an opportunity at the table. And even among us, Asian American, African American, Latinos, we should be knocking on each other's doors, like I said before. And just so you know, among the Latino community, even among the Latino community, we have those issues of exclusion. I consider myself the minority of minorities as a Bolivian, because I'm always hearing people from all over the place. I rarely ever hear anybody be from Bolivia, which is fine, right? But it happens even within our own communities, right? That there are different ways of looking at each other, and we need to stop that and start including us as a whole, as a team. We're all in this together. So please, I'm gonna ask you to please follow everybody here, support their projects, and like Jeremy said, before asking for a favor, maybe you can come in and provide and offer a favor, okay? Thank you. So please go ahead. We'll start with Kristina. What are your last thoughts and what you'd like to ask and what's next for you?
Well, I would like to bring it back to that idea of bringing in different communities together. Like, I'd like to see Latinas in media connecting with your organization, like all us come together. I know we're talking about like different groups of Latinos. I feel like I'm in Latina groups or I'm in queer groups, and I don't often have a lot like within these collaborations. So like support the Queer Film Alliance here in Atlanta, and Out on Film is another incredible organization here. But I would love to see, my call to you all is to have some more connection within these other incredible organizations so that we can also learn about each other and continue to support each other. And then for you all individually, yes, please follow us. Please take out your phone and follow Randy Mandy Movie on Instagram. Because genuinely it really does help us. It's really helping us in these meetings to show that we already have an audience, that when people say like, who's gonna watch this? I have so many faces that I can show of like, this is a small sample that we've already done, we haven't even made the movie. So the more that we can be vocal, and it seems frivolous sometimes, but like going on social media, liking, commenting on these organizations, like that just helps them in the algorithm. Takes you 2 seconds, like please support us. Feels frivolous, but please support us. And please, if you're interested in our mentorship program, please check it out at Film Impact Georgia. If you know anyone who might be interested, please share that with your friends.
And another way to support is watch their projects. I mean, her film is in A Christmas with Jerks is in Prime Amazon, and I had a blast. My 90-year-old mom was laughing out loud. Okay.
You maybe don't want to watch it with your kids. But yeah, you can watch it
with their mom. So anyway, Jeremy, go ahead and watch Walkman. Oh my gosh, what an award-winning film.
Thank you. What I ask of you, especially the folks here who build film crews, I'm a very proud Georgia filmmaker. The same Georgia that's home to Atlanta. Black culture, Black creativity is the heartbeat of Atlanta. A lot of people don't know the third most spoken language in the state is Korean. The Latino community is a pillar of our economic workforce. Does your crew look like Georgia?
Yeah, so I would like to say, like I said, I have a streaming platform, Signify TV. I'm hoping we have a lot of indie filmmakers in this room. So yeah, follow signify.tv. Check out some of the amazing independent films and television shows on the platform. And if you have any yourself that you think would really benefit from being on the platform, let me know. I'm alanalark@gmail.com. I'd love to see your work. I'd love to support you. Thank you. Thanks for this experience, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, watch something outside your comfort zone. Watch our projects. Even if you're not Asian American or Black or Latino with a disability, watching our stuff, like I said, cinema is education. And I really can't say anything else. No one else has said it here, so I'll be out there with an empty popcorn bucket, so you can put some money in it for my post-production. No, but thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Did you want to add something?
Can I just say also practically, I have to go to set right after this, so I won't be hanging out, but like, I'm gonna abuse my wonderful Angel, who is our social media manager, so I'm gonna run so fast, but I would love to connect with you all. Please talk to Angel for me.
Over here.
If
Her
you're
PR guy. Her PR guy. Okay, cool. I'm also going to ask you guys a favor. I am a co-founder of Actors Army. Like I said before, it's a group of actors and filmmakers here in Atlanta. We have 20 members only. We like to keep it small so we can possibly get more things done or be more intimate, more closer to each other. We have created a community since 2020 during the pandemic. And we started off as a support group. Don't forget, mental health is very important in our community and everywhere else. And so we started off as a support group for actors, and then it grew, and we decided to start producing. So we have contests and all. So please follow us at in Instagram at actors_army. And last but not least, since we are a community, and I still have 2 minutes, Linda's looking at me. There are 3 people in our industry that we need to pray for or send to the universe your thoughts, your positive energy, whatever you believe in, that we should all unite in times of need. One of them is Kevin Saunders. Kevin Saunders. Jeff Rose, and Crystal Carson. She's an acting coach and a teacher. They're all struggling with health issues, very serious health issues, and we just need to support them any way we can. They all have their GoFundMe page, but anything, even if it's a little note, following them, sending them a word of encouragement, that will show that we truly are a community. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Linda, and everybody who made this possible. Denise and Viviana. Thank you, everybody, for coming and supporting.
All right, bigger round of applause for these people. Absolutely fabulous. All right, so thank you for coming out.